Hey guys, I'm back again. This is Jack. He's an actor. He was working with us on the Salvatore, and he's a little bit of a historian on the Mafia. He's a bit of a buff follower, but a little bit more than a buff or a follower. He goes after facts. He does a lot of research. He's got pictures and stuff that he's accumulated through the years, and we're about to start a new program, giving you the history of the Mafia, where it was started, why, how. It was started in Sicily, and Sicily only, and all of Italy was only in Sicily. And I'm going to work on that project and give you an episode or two. I've been working on that. I did some writing when I was in prison about it. Now I'm doing some research. I have actually somebody getting into some historians, and a lot I do know. I'm 77. The guy I was mentoring me, Toto Arello, was about 25, 30 years older than me, so he would be about 105 or 107 years old now. So when he had me, he talked about the past and what he learned from some of his older friends. So now I'm hearing things that go back 150 years. Even though I'm not 150 years old. I may look it, but I'm not 150. And so we'll go into a lot of facts. We're going to do a little something. He brought a picture, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, so I have a collection of original photographs from the Mafia. Some of them are hits, some of them are, mug shots. But I wanted to, show you this, the pictures I have.
Right.
And, since you have so much knowledge in the history of the Mafia, I think you could, get some great stories out of these.
Right.
But this one's of the Albert Anastasia hit.
Right.
And I just would love to ask you a couple questions about it and,
Sure.
just pick your brain. But that's for you, sir. Obviously, for those that don't know, this was a very public hit. I don't know if you want to, tell the backstory of what happened.
Well, I can tell a little bit of the backstory because Albert Anastasia was the boss before Carlo Gambino. He was really, even before that, he started Murder Incorporated. And that was all the Jewish gangsters who were hit guys. They were all under him. I mean, so he had a lot of hit guys under him, and he had his own thing, and then he became the boss of the so-called Gambino family, but it wasn't Gambino yet. It was Anastasia. And they called him the Mad Hatter. He had a fast figure, pull the trigger, 1, 2, 3. Give the order, 1, 2, 3. He was a little kill crazy. Now, there's a bunch of stories. I know a story Toto had told me once about this hit. He was sitting in a room with his guys, and he was watching television. I think it was Willie Sutton. He was a bank robber, and he went on a bank robbery. He ran out the door, and some guy, a good Samaritan, grabbed him by the legs. He fell down. The cops grabbed him, and he's watching this on television. So he tells his guys, Willie's a good guy. He's a bank robber. He don't know Willie Sutton from all in the wall. And he says, get the name of this guy who's this good Samaritan. They give the name. They're giving him a medal for it. And he sent the guy, one of his guys, to go kill him. Everybody, Toto told me, was a little shook up. I mean, we don't know Willie Sutton. He's a hillbilly bank robber or something, and we're going to go kill somebody for him. But the guy went and did what he was told and killed the guy, the Good Samaritan. When he came back, the police obviously were doing a big investigation. To cut the tie between him and the guy who did the work, he had that guy killed. And he was a made guy. Now that shook the whole family. Guys heard this story and said, oh my God, I hope he don't give me an order to go kill somebody, then he might get rid of me. Everybody felt they can't trust him. A boss is supposed to be the father of the family. You look at him, you love him, he's your father. If you think your father's going to kill you over a fucking spilled cup of coffee or something, I mean, you don't want to be in that family. So it's a weird thing that he did. There's multiple things he did. There was another incident. Carlo Gambino was a captain. There was another captain. I can't remember his name. And he was going to flip a coin to prove a point about something and kill one of them. Heads, you die. Tails, you die. Paul Castellano at that time was a captain, and a very powerful captain. And he came and talked to Albert and begged that Carl, who was his brother-in-law, be saved. He really wanted to save both guys, but Carl was his brother-in-law, and they loved each other a little bit. And Albert gave him a pass, Carl, and killed the other guy. So all this killing and all this bullshit and insanity led to the bosses, because he did control Murder Incorporated as well. So they feared him. And when you lose your mind, that fear turns into, we got to do something about this. And they put a hit out on him. This was his normal barber shop where he went for his haircut and his shave and stuff like that. And he was sitting in this chair. Now, what I heard personally, and this is, I can't verify it, I don't know this for a fact. But I had heard that Carmine Persico, when he was younger, maybe he was a captain or he was a main guy. Crazy Joe Gallo, another guy or two. Those are the guys who did the work. They actually went in and killed him. So that much I know about him and his history. And then following his demise, Carlo Gambino came up to be the boss with Paul Castellano's strong backing. And Carlo Gambino stayed there until his death, years later. So there's a whole history about this. And when I talk about when I'm about to start the history of the Mafia, I can go through it with smart guys like Jack and all the research he's done and pictures he has. Be a tremendous help. I'm going to be totally honest. Couldn't do it without him. And then we're going to get other researchers and people in colleges and universities who made a lifetime of studying the Mafia. Now you got to remember, the Mafia started in the 12th century. That's about 900 years ago. So the Mafia has a tremendous history, not only in Italy and the United States, but all over the world. The Mafia showed up in a lot of different countries. We'll get into it in time. It's too long of a story, but I'm going to start on SammyTheBull.com. I'm going to put it out every week. We'll have a show talking about it. I'll bring in guests sometimes. If some professor wants to come in and talk about it with us, we'll talk about it, and we would welcome here. Jack is going to stay here the whole time. He wants to be part of it. My Jack, who's working for me, is going to be part of it. Probably more behind the scenes. You won't see him as much, but behind the scenes, he's doing a lot of work. And I really want to show you what the Mafia really was. From where it started, how it started. It was only in Sicily. Even all of Italy didn't have the Mafia. It started in Sicily. That's it. And then it spread from Sicily to all of Italy. And then it started to spread in a few European countries, but mostly during the war, it came to the United States. And then there's a lot of names that you'll remember: Al Capone, Lucky Luciano, Vito Genovese, said on and on and on, Three Fingers Brown, Tommy Lucchese. I mean, there's so many people, Joe Colombo, there's names, Profaci, there's so many names in here. And we're going to weed it out. I'm going to weed it out as best as I can. with my own knowledge and the research with guys like Jack, and put it together. And I think you guys are going to love it. And you're going to understand the Mafia, I believe, in a whole nother way. When you understand the heritage of the Mafia and what it really was, I'm going to say this. It was a beautiful thing when it started in Italy for the people of Sicily. It's almost like a Robin Hood type of thing. The people loved them. And I'll bring it forward through the years. How the relationship with the church, the relationship with different governments, all kinds of different things. What they did during the war. A lot of it I already know, but I'm going to get more research and be smarter about it. And I'm going to bring it all the way as current as I could get it. Obviously, when you go into the 70s and 80s, I lived it. And I was around it every day of my life. I was like a 24/7 type of guy. I sat with Tato, I was a kid, and I was like, I was in awe of him. His knowledge of Cosa Nostra, when he would talk to me, he would just reminisce. He didn't think I was a student. He would reminisce about him and his friend when he saw an incident with Al Capone and what kind of guy he was, and Lucky Luciano. As a kid, I was dumbfounded listening to this. But I'm going to teach you Cosa Nostra like you've never heard it. How beautiful it was when it changed and when it became a bad thing, not a good thing. Not only for the people, but for themselves. But that's what made me stick to the Mafia, I believe, is that I always knew the heritage. And I think that's what brought me in solid. Because I was asked that a lot of times, and a lot of times I thought about it, it was this guy or that guy, but it was the heritage of the Mafia. Knowing my father and mother were both Sicilians, came from Sicily, little fishing towns, and I felt the heritage. I gravitated towards it. Especially once I got into it and I was listening to it, especially as a May guy. I saw that movie Godfather 1, Godfather 2, knowing the heritage. I was hooked. Hook, line, and sinker. I didn't like it. I loved it. Not the greed, not the money, not the girls, not all that bullshit. But the heritage of it blinded me. It was something that I just idolized. So people, some of those names, you'll say maybe I'm crazy because some of them were dangerous. Maybe I was dangerous too, but that was part of the Mafia. And it was a beautiful thing. What it did in the United States, we did everything. I mean, we formed gambling. Vegas was there because of us. We built buildings. We did all kinds of things, positive things, not so positive things, bad things, ugly things. I'm not going to pull punches, and I'm not going to cover nothing up. I'm going to put it all on the table so you could understand the Mafia. This is something that should be known in history. Shouldn't be covered up, what happened.